From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of amazing ideas and stunning digital marketing. In this podcast, my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury, and I talk about why Wordcamps. Before we get into this, at the time of the recording, I had talked about going to WordCamp Canada next week in Ottawa. Unfortunately, due to some ongoing health issues, I'm unable to attend this year. I wish the organizers the best of luck with an amazing WordCamp, and I hope to see you all soon in 2025. Now, on to the chat that Ryan and I had. This podcast is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency that can help protect your WordPress website today. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and see what we can do to help you protect your business investment. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I'm here with my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury from Minnesota. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm not doing too bad. We're still getting soaking rains, but that should end today, hopefully.
Don't send any more of it north. We don't want any more. I'm done. So we've had hot and humid weather worse than Florida and Toronto. So that tells you where I'm at right now. So, today you and I were talking offline, and we thought we'd talk about an interesting topic, and that's WordCamps. And one reason why is, those who don't know, I'm off to WordCamp Canada a week next Thursday, so less than 2 weeks away. You're talking about going to WordCamp Minnesota, are you not, if I recall?
Yeah, WordCamp Minneapolis is in August.
Minneapolis, right.
Yep.
So you're talking about going there. WordCamp US is coming up. We're just out of WordCamp EU, which is probably the biggest WordCamp of all in Europe. And in the spring was WordCamp Asia. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about WordCamps. What do you feel about WordCamps?
The first WordCamp I attended, and I had put off going to them, I had attended a lot of conferences in my corporate career, dozens per year. So when I went off on my own and started doing consulting, I was not excited to go to any conferences, but a friend of mine finally talked me into going to my first one. I think it was 2016. And that was a WordCamp in Minneapolis. And I was really surprised. It was a very different feel from the other tech conferences that I'd been to. And it really surprised me on how open, inviting, and helpful and just warm, welcoming feeling that I really didn't get at other conferences. And just that I couldn't put my finger on it. It was just kind of a warm, fuzzy feel that people were actually nice and willing to share technical information. It was it's kind of a foreign concept for me, coming from other conferences and particularly tech conferences. So I've tried to go to as many WordCamps as I can, at least the local ones, and even the meetups. And I think they're beneficial to connect, especially the in-person ones. Then we had a few of the online ones during the COVID era. And, for people that primarily work online and are connected virtually, it's nice to do an in-person event and, connect in the real world. And I think that's important.
I would agree with that. I haven't done a WordCamp since 2017. That was the last one that was in Toronto. So that was the year Gutenberg came out, if you remember. It was right before it, actually, about a week before WordCamp US. I did that one, and I haven't done one since. The Toronto WordPress meetup group has basically gone virtual. So before COVID, there was like 4 different meetups running every month, and now they're down to one virtual meetup. And frankly, I don't need another virtual meetup. Like, honestly, I do enough of them now with some online groups that I'm already involved with. So I'd like, excuse me, an in-person one uh, sooner than later. And then um, there hasn't really been anything local now. There's been a couple around here. Buffalo's not far away. Rochester's not far away. But I've had scheduling conflicts because most of these run at least one day on the weekend. And I don't know about you, but my weekends are kind of sacred right now. So you look at my schedule, I need a color palette organizer to decide what I'm doing where and when, because my schedule looks like that. It's like dog's breakfast. But I am going to WordCamp Canada week Thursday. I'm not going for Contributors Day, but I am going for the rest of the camp. The interesting conversation going on is somebody jokingly is starting an over-under pool on how many talks I will attend. So there's the fun.
That's, the talks at WordCamps are also, that was also one of the things that I really enjoyed, where
Yeah.
our WordCamp was broken up into 3 tracks. The business track that was really focused on how to run your agency or make that leap from freelancer to,
Yep.
agency, or how to organize your business, or, what works for you. And that was completely new to me. And I was, really surprised. So one year, that's pretty much all I did was spent time doing the business track just to see what other freelancers and other agency owners were doing. And I made some really great connections with really good people there
Mhm.
that I still, do work with today. But then, we have the marketing track and then the developers track, and they're all good. And there's just such a variety of talks to attend that there's something for everyone that at every level, from, your nonprofit person that was technical enough that got thrown into managing their WordPress website to, the full-blown agency owner that's got a team of 20, that there's something for both of those individuals at a WordCamp.
Yeah.
And that's what really surprised me, and gave me, like I said, that warm, fuzzy feeling that everyone walked in the door and was treated with some kind of respect, and people talked to you at your level, and tried to understand and help as much as possible.
Yeah, I would agree. The biggest thing about the Canadian one coming up, and by the time we air this podcast, the Canadian one will not have happened. So that's a good thing. Is it's almost like the who's who in North American WordPress. If you start to look at the speaker list, it's a vast degree. I mean, everybody from Nick Diego, who from Automatic, who comes from your neck of the woods, to Corey Miller from Oklahoma, to you name it. And I'm um I'm at the point with that one. There's so many people going that I know. That's my problem on this one. The social side of it and the catching up side of it, and the 4 track, which you did not mention, infamously called the hallway track, might become a big prominent one for me, because there's just way too many people there I know I've connected with over the years, I've had conversations with. And now finally after COVID, we're all in one place, which would be really good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was talking with one of my friends who I met at WordCamp, and it was at a meetup in person. Uh, Not too long ago, we started seeing meetups pop up again. It was kind of a lull for a while in our area, but I had mentioned, I said, "Hey, nice to see that WordCamp Minneapolis is happening again." But I don't know if I made the comment exactly like this, but I said, I don't know if I'll get too much out of a lot of the talks. And, my friend turned and looked at me and said, well, then it's time for you to start presenting if you're at that level. And I said, you're probably right. It probably is time to, do a presentation. But I really wanted to attend WordCamp just for that same reason that you brought up, is to connect with colleagues that I haven't seen in person in a long time, just
Yeah.
to see what they're doing, where they're at.
Mhm.
In our last segment that we talked about, we talked about how to grow your agency, and I've done it with strategic partnerships and filling in different pieces of work. So I'm not going looking for work, but it's always interesting to hear what other people are working on and how
Yep.
they're doing it,
So true.
because we work in a vacuum a lot of times, especially as solopreneurs, and we get used to doing things our own way, where whenever I go to a word camp, there's always a talk or a subject or something comes up in a conversation that flips a switch that said, I never thought about doing it that way.
Yep.
And I always learned something. It might not be a big thing, but I learned something at every meetup, every word camp, some little trick or tip that has been useful. So when I look at that, it's absolutely worthwhile. And for the cost, I mean, Automatic subsidizes these heavily, and a lot of the other sponsors, the host level sponsors, subsidize it. So I think tickets for our WordCamp were $50, and that's a steal in my opinion.
Yep.
That the sponsors do such a great job of picking up the tab and make it approachable for pretty much anyone. That $50 is not going to break the bank to attend an event.
Yeah, not GoDaddy. Canada's tickets are actually $75, but that's Canadian funds. So, take 60% of that, you're probably in the same ballpark, right? I would think. Um, the other thing I would say is I actually submitted a talk this time around, and my topic was very similar to Dan Naus's topic, and Dan submitted the day before I did. So, and somebody said to me, "You disheartened you're not speaking?" I said, "No, because I can go relax now." I've spoke at the last two podcasts in Toronto, as you know. I've done some of that. So I'm at the point where I can just go schmooze, which I like to do. Um, for those who don't know, I'm taking the podcast on the road to WordCamp. So I'm planning on doing some minute interviews, videos, just about why you like WordPress, stuff like that. And I'm going to combine the videos into a podcast or two. So that's the plan for that. And by not speaking, I'm free to do basically whatever I want for 2 days. So and I even went out for the podcast and I got two RF mics that plug into the receiver plugs into the charging port of your phone, and then they're RF lapel mics so that I actually have some clean audio too. So I've kind of worked that out as well. So I'm going to be doing some of that. So I'm going to have fun regardless. It's word camps are all what you make out of them, not what you don't do.
Exactly. And that's the nice thing. Even if you go and you don't attend a single talk, you're going to get something out of it.
Mhm.
And you talked about the hallway track, where I conferences for me are, those conversations that you have with other developers, designers, agency owners, in between the talks. And that's what makes it worthwhile. And I think WordPress as a, community, I know we've had our issues over the past few years and some of the drama, but overall, I think the WordPress is more about community than just the software. And I think
Yep.
WordCamps are the embodiment of that. So, when we were bouncing around topics, I really wanted to highlight that, especially since it's WordCamp season. It's usually from, what is it, February, March until
Yep. September.
September, October. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I thought it was a fitting time to talk about, WordCamps again, because we're now having them in person, like we did pre-COVID.
Yep. I agree with you. And, to go one more, I so for people who haven't attended a WordCamp or any big conference, one of the things I always suggest is if you haven't been, print schedule it. Number one, have it in your hand. And then take a look and say, this would be an interesting talk, or this would be an interesting talk. And or I should go to this talk because I know this person well. Maybe I want to support them. I've got one of those on my list already. And kind of outline what you want to see and and make a list of who you want to catch up with. And then what I would suggest is reach out to those people before the camp and say, hey, can we sit down? So I've already got 2 dinners booked. I've already got 2 breakfasts booked. I've already got a couple lunches booked. I've already got several people saying, hey, we need to sit and have a 20-minute conversation. I've got a list of cell phone numbers, so all I got to do is text people. So, a little preparation goes a long way on making your day more enjoyable.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned Nick Diego relocating to my city
Yeah.
of Minneapolis a while ago. And the fact that neither of us we've talked about it a few times about getting together, but we haven't. So, you're absolutely right. I'm starting to make a list of people I want to purposefully catch up with at WordCamp that it's easy to make and break plans. But WordCamp is also one of those spots where people are going to be there and you can always catch up with them.
Yeah, like in Nick's case, Nick's been on the show with me once. I've been wanting to get him back a second time. If you're watching, Nick, the request is coming in a week and a half. So there you go. But I also, a guy like Nick, I respect his knowledge. So he's a good dev. He really is, and he's approachable, and he's always got an open door. I just haven't gone there lately, and I think he's really good. One of the things you mentioned earlier was community, and the WordPress community is different in the drama. I want to share something because I'm kind of in the point of view where I don't want the drama inflicted on me, the show, my business, and I try to avoid it like the plague. And Sam Brockway over at WP Engine has coined a phrase that I really like saying, we need to learn to accept doing WordPress the way we want to do WordPress. And basically, that's not the exact quote, but that's the gist of it is you do WordPress your way. And by that, I mean, if you're a page builder person like you are, go ahead and do page builders. If you like to play with a block add-on, which is, I'm sorry, folks, basically a page builder, whether you want to call it that or not, that's what it is. And I'm a block add-on guy. I'm all in with cadence mods. So, but I'm not running around knocking page builder guys. I have clients. I have a client right now whose site I'm revamping is all built on Elementor. I didn't build it. So the point I'm making is there's not one way to do WordPress. There's the headless people, there's the people who like to go in and edit config files and stuff like that. There's people who like to play with React. The point I'm making is there are all kinds of ways to do it. So I think what we need to do, and not you and I, but some other people need to do, is accept that the purpose of open source is so you can do things your way. And let's stop all this garbage and just accept there's different ways to get to Rome.
Exactly. And that's why I kind of had the analogy of that inexperienced nonprofit single person to the agency owner, where there's a whole breadth of experience and like you just said, ways of doing things. And they're all accepted when you walk in the door at a WordCamp. And you're going to find like-minded people that are doing WordPress the same way that you're doing it, or maybe a little different. And that's the benefit of WordCamp, where you can connect with people that have different experiences and can share those with you. Maybe they've been on the page builder bandwagon and moved to Gutenberg, or vice versa. And I lately with the community and seeing the do WordPress your way, that attitude being more prevalent other than blocks, has been more positive. And
I agree.
so
I agree 100%. I want to share a bit of a WordPress story, if I may, about a WordCamp. And maybe I shouldn't share this one, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that WordPress story kind of sits around this whole WordCamp 2017 in Toronto. So I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to get myself into trouble with people I know. But what happened in 2017 is they decided to have WordCamp Toronto in a municipal space, and they went and charged for tickets. Do you see where this conversation's going, Ryan? You are not allowed to charge for tickets in a free municipal space that the city gives you. The minute you do that, you have to pay exorbitant rental fees. And this all came to light like 3 weeks before the camp. And the end result was a sponsor stepped in and basically covered the shortfall. And they had to refund all the people had paid $50 a head for tickets for the weekend because they couldn't charge in the municipal space. And somebody should have done their homework, but I just found it ironic after the fact.
Oof, that's a big one.
Yep.
Yeah. Most of the word camps that I've been to have been at the University of Minnesota in a couple of the lecture halls that they have set up. And this one that we're doing this year is actually in my suburb at the Mall of America and in one of their event halls. So this is the first time that it's not been at a public university and
That's cool.
in its whole existence, and as far as I know. So it's kind of interesting the spaces that they choose
Yep.
for word camps.
Yep. That is really cool. But I think, mistakes aside, and I think one of the problems in the Toronto community is there's been some politics behind the scenes. So I suspect, knowing who was involved at the time, I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. The person that was running the show and was removed at the time, like to, how shall we say, tell people what to do, not ask. And that is a mistake with volunteers. You don't always get the cream of the crop. I think the only issue I have with this camp is I don't think it's been as well promoted WordCamp Canada as it could have been. It's a different concept because it's not a flagship, but it's not a local. It's kind of a hybrid in the middle. And I know it's hard when you have volunteers. I understand. And I'm not picking on the people doing the work. I never do because it's a lot of work. And, but I'm just wondering if people aren't ready for a hybrid right now. And July in Canada is a tough time. It's hot. It's expensive, to say the least. But where do you put it? Do you put it in the spring where WordCamp Europe falls, or do you put it in the fall where WordCamp US falls? So you're kind of done. Do you know what I mean? And if you put it in the middle of winter, people are going to say it's too cold. So
Exactly. Somebody will be unhappy with timing, no matter what time of the year. So we just have to roll with it. Know that they're going to be in the summer when it's blisteringly hot. And you and I are not blisteringly hot. We're not Florida. So our hot is a little different, but it's still not fun.
but I'll tell you, last week or 2 weeks ago, we were warmer with the humidity in the state of Florida. We were 105, 110 all week. So, and we had thunderstorm warnings. And I don't know if you've heard this, Ryan. Ontario is now the tornado capital province of Canada because we do have between the Detroit and London, Kitchener stretch, that's like Tornado Alley. And then we do have areas north of Toronto, an hour and a half north, that's tornado. We don't get them in the city. So there is that to be seen, but it's been that hot. And when it gets that hot, it becomes unbearable, my friend. It just becomes unbearable. So,
well, that's when you want to be in an air-conditioned hall listening to a speaker.
yeah, like now, or talking to you and doing one of our monthly catch-ups. let's talk about, for those who haven't been to a camp, what you should take with you. So one thing I always say to people at a camp is look at the lunches and do you have any dietary restrictions? Because lunches are included. If you're on medication, if you're a diabetic on insulin, I'm diabetic, but I'm not on insulin, so I don't have that problem. Make sure you take your medication with you. Number one, you should probably take a laptop or a tablet or both with you. That's number two. You should take a charged cell phone. It operates as a camera or a voice recorder, or in my case, a podcast recorder. Number three, I will take a laptop bag that is an over-the-shoulder bag, not a knapsack this time. And one of the reasons I'll go to an over-shoulder bag is with the way I've been, for those who don't know, I've got a bit of a wound on the back of the neck, and carrying a knapsack around for 2 days is just going to kill me. So I'll take an over-the-shoulder bag, and then I'll be tempted to carry it part of the time. So I'll do that. I would make sure in the bag you have a charging brick for your cell phone in case you can't find an outlet. I would make sure you have your laptop fully charged at the beginning of the day in case you need it. I would say if you have a large data plan, I would tether to your data plan than to the Wi-Fi in the venue, because you'll probably get better connection with all these people in the venue. The other thing I would take is a notebook, of course, a pen. I still believe in business cards, so I will take some of those. And I will also suggest that if you've got any Bluetooth medical devices, so I wear a Libra, for those who don't know, is a device that sits on my arm that scans. I'm actually going to turn the Bluetooth off on my cell phone in the venue, because there'll be so many people running Bluetooth devices, you'll get collisions. It's just an interesting thought. And take a water bottle with you, one of the best things you can, and take your favorite coffee mug with you, a good traveler mug, because it's easier to carry. Any other thoughts on what you should take or not take? And don't bring
I
your
think
pets.
that yeah, I would love to bring my office staff.
Yeah, yeah. What would you take?
Uh, that pretty much covers my list. And, my list is pretty much the same. I have my laptop and over the shoulder bag. I have my cell phone. I have my headset. Because there's some downtime where I'm not talking to anyone. And, in a public space, it's always good to be polite and control your audio.
Yep.
So for me, it's cell phone. Ironically enough, the charging brick was one of the gifts. There's always a gift at our WordCamps, and one of the last ones they went, they had an awesome cell phone charging brick, and so I make sure that I bring a couple of those. Like I said, water, coffee, those are good things. They're all provided, but it's good to have those things in your own. But yeah, for me, if I have my laptop, my phone, and my headset and everything's charged, I'm pretty good for the most part.
And the
Um,
two things we haven't covered is wear some comfortable clothes, like
mhm.
really, and wear some comfortable shoes. You're going to be on your feet quite a bit that day. So
Yep.
I think running shoes is probably a good idea. Like
Mhm.
if you're comfortable in shoes, I don't think, ladies, I don't think a WordCamp is a good place to wear a 3-inch heel. And I'm not being sexist. I just don't think it's a good idea. Like honestly.
That was the other awesome thing, that when you go to a tech conference, and I'm gonna try and make it to CloudFest next year. But some of
Yeah.
the other technical conferences I've been to, you have people from business casual to full suits. You don't see that at a WordCamp at all,
No.
no matter who the person is. And I'm glad you brought that up. That it is. I mean, don't come in ripped jeans and flip flops.
Please
Be
don't. It looks awful.
be a little respectful with your wear, but business casual and even a little less, casual is acceptable. It's meant to be an inviting, comfortable environment for you to learn and network.
Mhm. I'm
And
I'm more likely to wear a pair of men's dress shorts because it'll be hot and sticky in Ottawa in July, and more than likely. And interesting, as we speak, I'm looking at a brand new pair of New Balance shoes, which I need to break in before WordCamp because I know what my feet do. So be comfortable. And the other thing I would say is, I know there's a coffee bar, folks, and it's easy to drink multiple cups. Do yourself a favor and stay hydrated, and coffee doesn't help hydrate you. So think about drinking lots of water. Find a good water bottle that you like, because I find I'm a I'm a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero drinker, no sugar. And at camps, I try to stay away from that stuff just because it's not good for the long-term thirst, believe it or not. So, like, a coffee's okay in the morning, but I'd be telling you to switch to water sooner than later if you can. It's
yep,
probably better for
that
you.
that reminded me, that's one of the other nice gifts that they had was a stainless steel water tumbler with
Yep.
the WordPress logo. That's going to be clipped to my bag.
Mhm.
So yeah, make sure you're prepared. I mean, not to for us to sound like all gloom and doom that you're going to be stranded on an island.
No,
That
not at all.
there are charging ports, the coffee bar, there's pastry in the morning. Yeah, it's very well most word camps are very well set up.
Yep.
But you have to realize they're volunteer run, things can happen, and
They do their
um
best. They do their
they
best, and that's the
yeah,
important.
so you have to keep that in mind, that it's not a professionally run convention, but it feels like it.
Yep.
And because we are professionals, that step up and volunteer, that run our own businesses.
Um,
So
I wanted to jump on charging ports for a minute. And you know where this conversation is going to go, because I'm a security guy. Do not use the USB charging ports at a convention center, please. Plug your cell phone directly into a plug in a wall. There is still a hack out there. It's been out there for 10 years where hackers exploit USB ports unless you have a cable that is designed for charging only and blocks those. There are such things out there, but please don't use a generic charging port. So one of the things I don't do is I do a lot of commuting around Toronto because I don't drive. I choose not to. And I go to bus stations, and we have charging ports on the bus stations. You will never catch, and on the buses as well. On regional buses, we have ports. I will not use one of those. Plug right into a wall. Don't use a charging port in your hotel room. Plug right into the wall, please, and thank you. And if you want to use the charging port in your hotel room, get a travel power bar that has two built-in charging ports in it and use
mhm.
those, not the ones in the wall.
And you also talked about turning up Bluetooth.
Yep.
That's another exploit that can be
Yep.
used. I usually have Bluetooth turned off on my phone, on my laptop. The
Yep.
Wi-Fi on my laptop and my phone is still on because I tether.
Yep.
And
You do what I do.
even at that level, I have the VPN on in between there, just
Yep.
for safety's sake.
Mhm.
So yeah, just be safe, do your due diligence. You know, I know we talked about WordPress being, a good community, but it's not no community, no matter how good, are not without their bad actors on occasion.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind, and go and have fun and learn something.
Yeah, and I think, Ryan, you just took my final words out. Despite everything we've talked to, we've given you some tips to prepare. We've given you some tips what to look for. We've both been to camps. We've both been to conferences. I mean, I've been to one of the biggest tech conferences in day, Comdex, back in the day when they used to run. And Toronto was a big Comdex center, little different type of conference. I've done that. I've done South by Southwest. I've done conferences in Vegas. Like, the more important thing is be yourself, go have fun and meet some people and enjoy the experience. I think that's really the key.
Exactly. Uh, that I don't have any other final words other than that.
Yeah, so that's it. Have fun. Ryan and I will be back with you next month. Maybe we can digest a WordCamp a little bit. Who knows? Everybody have a good weekend. It's when this comes out, it will come out in between the Canada and US long weekend. So happy birthday to both countries and enjoy yourself. And if you need Ryan or I, you know where to find us. X works, LinkedIn works, our websites work. You know where to find us. Have a great day, Ryan. Thanks again. Bye.
You too.
This show is brought to you by StunningDigitalMarketing.com, your Toronto leader in digital marketing services. Not only do we protect your WordPress website, we can help you with your site, provide social media management for your business, or even do one-on-one consulting. To find out more, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. I love you, and I think about you every day. For more information about Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing experts, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com or go to StunningDigitalMarketing.info to find out all the great places that Rob Cairns can be found on the web.